Good morning, everyone. You've met Bob Pica, our Asia Pacific CEO, and then we are very happy for Bob to visit Shanghai in his first month with burson-marsteller. So let's welcome Bob to give us the presentation.
Thanks very much, Daisy. Let me just say how impressed I am by the staff here. It's a really dynamic and bright and hardworking team. And I do know very much how hard you do work for the company, and I want you to remember that this effort is appreciated. The whole idea here at a really rapid growth part of your life is to take the confidence and the opportunity that the client business gives us to learn all of this stuff really rapidly so that we can master all of these new skills and areas of endeavor that will help to build more rewarding and satisfying careers. I think people can grow very fast working in a PR agency. And yes, it's a hard-working endeavor, but you can certainly learn all this stuff that's going to really stick with you for the rest of your working life. And this is something that stuck with me these past few months, the changing role of our profession. You know, every 10 years, first in 1989, and then in 1999, 2009, I have taken a year off from work to think. And I emphasize that word, think. Most PR people don't spend enough time thinking. We spend most of our time doing. You know, answer the calls, reply to the emails. Just, we're swept along in this daily current of information flow. Thoughts just overwhelm us, temporary stimuli. How am I going to get all this work done? I think the important thing for us to do is just to stand back for a moment and carefully consider, with the benefit of perspective, what it is that we do for a living. So that's what I do every 10 years. So this presentation contains my reflections from this most recent career sabbatical. When I entered the world of public relations back in 1990, I was at Hill & Knowlton in Canada, Toronto. I was an account executive, and I worked my way. I did media monitoring, and I had the smallest office space, and I worked on some of the least interesting clients, and I had tough media pitch. They'd hand me the list, call these guys, get the coverage. Well, you know, I got the coverage. But, you know, on the front lines of our business, I started off like many of you did at a very young age. And at that time, PR was seen as more of a relationship art. People would know each other face to face. We would deal with journalists that we would meet at events. And we used what seemed today older methods for our craft. The speed was slow, and the important thing was writing. Text was king. And we would write long things, long documents, thick briefing books, speeches for executives, very lengthy press releases of several pages sometimes. And people had time to think about stories and to pay attention to things over a sustained period. So now if we move on to the next era here, modern digital public relations. That's where we are as of this moment today. And PR is becoming more of a science where e-relationships, people who you may never meet in person, but you have them as part of your social network. These are people who you exchange information with and get to know. Now today, and I can look around this office and I saw how many windows were open at the same time on different desktops. We use digital methods and distractions are constant. You know, maybe the older person could write, maybe someone my age can write a good speech for an executive and I can pay attention in a deeper, sustained way, but I can't probably juggle 19 windows open on my computer at the same time as adeptly as somebody in their mid-20s can today. But distraction is a constant, and we're continuously online. We spend 90% of our waking hours, certainly I do, staring at a screen. I stare at this BlackBerry screen and a computer screen just like this all day long, and so do you. So our job is changing. We're not just pitching the journalists so people can read a newspaper or see something on TV. We're turning into like media content creators, media producers, programming stuff for the news stream, the information that scrolls on a screen. And if we understand that, we understand that content, not just words, is becoming king. Pictures, videos, rich multimedia experiences, digital storytelling. This is where the action is. And nobody has time to consume these stories anymore, so we have to learn how to take the complexity of a story and then package it in a way that can be consumed almost immediately, just like that. So let's just step back for a moment, though, and consider what is a story. A story is really, and this is the fancy way, you see people talking about narratives all the time in the media. What's the narrative of that political party? What's the narrative of the corporation? What's the master narrative? It sounds very fancy, but that's really euphemism for a story. And that's our way of describing a sequence of events that occur over time. A report or an account of something. It could also be a lie or a fabrication, but we really take ethics seriously here, so that's something we would never want to do. We sell the story, yes, but we tell it straight. This is what a story, I think, really is in our PR world. This is the definition that really counts. A story is the most important stuff a company needs to tell its target audiences so that those people will do or think what we want them to do or think, know about the company, feel favorable towards the brand, recommend products to others, invest in the stock, say positive stuff online, or even want to work there. We should always, before we do any communications plan, think about what we want people to do as a result of that plan. Now, there's a tendency just to walk into the PR agency when you're young and someone says, okay, get to work. And you just start doing. But before you start doing, you should think, okay, what is it we're trying to do here? Why is it I'm pitching this journalist? What is the business consequence of my activity? Because even though you may feel sometimes younger or smaller in the scheme of things, actually everybody here plays a really important role, and what you do counts. So if you think about what the broader picture is for your activities from a business point of view, you'll see the consequence of your efforts. So there's 10 key concepts here I want to leave you with today. Now, I'm not going to talk these through at this moment, but this is a summary slide. And I know in many cases we're dealing with a second language situation here, so I'm making it very clear in detail text what it is we have to get across. So I'm just going to start talking about these on the next slide. What we do is all in the mind. We're not pitching stories to influence elbows or ankles or left legs. It's the brain, right? And so it's between these ears, right? And people consume the information through the ears or through the eyes, right? Into the brain. So if we look at the brain, though, which is the most important part of the brain? Next. It's the unconscious part of the brain. Now, of course, the conscious mind is stuff that you are aware of. Like most of you are listening to me now, and you're consciously aware of the words that I'm using, but probably my unconscious impact are my mannerisms or the tone of my voice or how I look to you. I think we have to keep in mind that 95% of marketing and PR decisions are made beyond conscious awareness. People decide to buy things or to do things that they may never have actually consciously thought about. And there's this guy called Gerald Zaltman, whose book I'll show you a bit later, who talks about this stuff. So the conscious mind is very logical, very rational. Here's the 10 reasons why we should do this. But it's the emotions of the unconscious mind that really drive people. And now the advertising business in particular, they're using these fMRI brain scans. They're actually putting people into these, it's like in the hospital, right? To see if somebody has a brain tumor. They put people in front of this technology, and you can see the brain light up, literally light up with different colors when you show somebody an advertising campaign, or they hear a slogan, or see a billboard or something. So they can then decide which images to select or what to do from a marketing perspective based on the brain scan, getting right inside the head of the person. This is what's next. It's really cool. So this book here by Martin Lindstrom, and this presentation is really the books that Bob read during his year off, right? But this book I really learned a lot from. Based on this study of these brain scans, what he found out is that people tend to remember products when they are integrated into a storyline. And they don't remember brands that don't play a role in a story.